person that sent me this story called it, "Where Did the Cat Go?" By the way, if you have a story that you'd like to share with our glitch community about glitches in the Matrix, dreams, aliens, cryptids, or the paranormal, you can send it to this email address. And remember, we believe you. Hello, Anti-Matrix. Hi, I've been watching your account for over 4 years now, and I'm still obsessed. I love you so much for that. I love hearing everyone's weird and wonderful stories, so I thought, why not share mine? I was staying at my mom's house in Scotland back in July 2023. The weather was awful for that time of year. Really dark skies, heavy rain, thunder, and lightning that carried on well into the early hours. My mom has 3 cats, and like any pet owner, she was worried about them because of the weather. They love being outside though, so we knew they'd eventually come home when they'd had enough. By around 10 p.m., we managed to get 2 of the 3 cats inside. The only one still out was Herbie. Before my mom went to bed, she asked me if I heard scratching at the back door during the night to let him in and settle him in the hallway. Not long after that, I fell asleep on the sofa. At around 2 or 2:30 a.m., I woke up to scratching at the back door. I opened it up and there was Herbie, absolutely soaked from the rain. He was purring, rubbing around my ankles, and clearly pleased to be back inside. I picked him up, gave him a few treats, quickly dried him off with a towel because he was drenched, and put him in the hallway. It's a big porch area where the cats sleep with comfy beds, food, and everything they need. Okay, so it's not really a hallway, it's like a little cat area. That's nice. I remember hearing the little bell on his bright green collar as I put him down. I headed back into the living room, ready to go straight back to sleep. Then, less than a minute later, I heard scratching at the back door again. I remember thinking, surely not. I opened the door, and there was Herbie. Again. Same bright green collar, same soaked fur, same purring and rubbing around my ankles. At first, I thought I'd somehow made a mistake. We sometimes leave the kitchen window open because the cats use it to come and go, and every now and then one of the local cats decides to invite itself into the house, so I thought maybe I'd mix them up. I went straight to check the hallway. There wasn't a single cat in there. Every door and window was shut. There was no way any of them could have gotten out in a few seconds. I'd been back in the living room. I just stood there for a second, trying to make sense of it. Then I went back to the door, and Herbie was still standing there. I know memories can play tricks on you, but I genuinely don't think that's what happened here. I remember drying him off, giving him treats, hearing the bell on his collar, and putting him into his bed. My mom's cats all wear different colored collars, so I know it was definitely Herbie. In the end, I just convinced myself I must have still been half asleep, even though it didn't really explain everything. I let him in again, gave him more treats, put him back in the hallway, checked every door and window one more time, and went back to bed. I've only ever told 3 people this because it sounds completely ridiculous when I say it out loud. I'm 31 now, and I've always enjoyed reading people's stories about glitches or strange experiences, but I'd never had anything happen to me before this. It didn't actually scare me at the time as much as it confused me. It's only afterwards, thinking back on it, that I realized I genuinely can't explain what happened. I haven't told my mom because she's convinced anything paranormal or unexplained is bad, and I know that she'd hate hearing it. It's honestly stayed with me ever since. I remember every detail so clearly, and I've never been able to come up with an explanation that makes sense. Has anyone else experienced anything like this? I genuinely love to know because it's one of those moments that still pops into my head every now and then, and I still have absolutely no idea what happened. I just hope it's not what I think it was. Crying face. Wait, what do you mean crying face? Wait, hold on. Let's dissect this for a second, okay? Because the crying face, because I don't know how old you are. What you said, you're 31. I'm not really sure. Because to me, a millennial, a crying face means you're crying a lot. But apparently, to the younger kids, a crying face means you're laughing really hard. So were you laughing or crying? I'm going to go with crying. But what do you mean you hope it's not what you think it was? What did you think it was? Are you saying you thought it was like a mimic of your cat? So I'm not getting mimic of your cat. I have 2 theories. And the first theory is that there was a portal. Because I truly and honestly 1000% believe that cats are fucking magical and that they can travel in and out of portals and through portals. I honestly, truly believe that. I feel like it's happened to one of my cats before. So maybe there was a portal in that room and he portaled out back into the outside and then he came back to the door again. I don't know. My other theory is because he did the same exact thing. You said it was the same exact thing. He came to the door the second time. He did the same thing. He acted the same exact way. So that feels like a glitch in the Matrix situation. It actually gives me the Matrix vibes when the cat passes and it's like the deja vu. That's what I meant to say. A deja vu situation, not a glitch in the Matrix situation, but kind of, it is a glitch in the Matrix. But I mean deja vu, like it happened exactly again, but it was actually happening exactly again. So I feel like it was like a glitch in the Matrix or like a timeline crossover or something, or like your time went back for a second. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? These are my two theories. I'd love to hear anyone else's theories. Also, I want to know if you think a crying face is laughing or crying. And I want to know if you think cats go through portals. And I also want to know what your opinion is on this. And if you've experienced anything like this before, please let me know. Thank you so much for sharing.